We're going to begin with WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange waking up in a mansion after being released on bail Thursday. We will speak to him live in just a moment. But first, NBC's Peter Alexander is at the home where Assange is under house arrest. Peter, good morning.
Meredith, good day to you. This is the 600-acre estate. It is 10 bedrooms, roughly 3 hours outside London, where Julian Assange will be staying for the next several weeks. After a significant victory yesterday, he went from being one of the most wanted men in the world to one of its least likely house guests. This rural part of England may be one of the few places in the Western world where Assange is not a household name.
Julian Assange, he's been in the newspapers lately.
Yeah.
And he will come to live at Ellingham Hall.
Ellingham Hall?
Yes.
Thursday night, he triumphantly stepped out of a British courthouse and stood before a worldwide audience, confident and upbeat.
Well, it's great to smell fresh air of London again.
He thanked his supporters and again denied allegations of sexual misconduct in Sweden that led to his arrest last week.
I hope to continue my work and continue to protest my innocence in this matter.
In court, the judge raised his bail requirements to $370,000 and added more restrictive conditions, including a curfew, daily visits to police, and electronic monitoring so authorities can track his movements. By night's end, Assange was relaxing by his mother's side.
Every journalist and every politician should spend some time in solitary confinement. Actually, some of them should spend a lot of time.
Brian, go.
And this morning, Mr. Assange tells me that he does not yet have the electronic monitoring tag that will be placed on him, one of the bail requirements. He'll be receiving that today when he makes his first visit to a local police station. He's only allowed to go there between 3 and 5 p.m., Matt. This community is so small, those are the only hours that the police station will be open.
All right, Peter Alexander for us in Suffolk, England this morning. Peter, thank you very much. Julian Assange joins us now live. Mr. Assange, good morning to you.
Merry Christmas and good morning.
Good morning to you. This is a major legal victory for you. You've been released on bail, but not without restrictions, as Peter just mentioned. You have a curfew. You've got to report to the police on a daily basis. You will have to wear an electronic monitoring device. When you were released yesterday, you said, if justice is not always an outcome, at least it is not dead yet. Your response to the events of the last 24 hours?
Well, it's very nice to be out in the sun, in the snow, and amongst good and courageous friends. But we should remember that this is the beginning of the end, rather it is merely the end of the beginning. We hear credible reports today in the Guardian newspaper confirming what we heard yesterday, that there is something like an espionage indictment made secretly against me in the United States.
Well, actually, I think what you're referring to is that prosecutors are trying to figure out if, in addition to receiving leaked documents, perhaps from Private First Class Bradley Manning, you also supplied Private Manning with software that he loaded into a computer that allowed him to receive those classified documents. Did you do that?
I have no information about what you're referring to. We don't know what the grounds of that investigation is. In fact, like the Swedish investigation, the whole damn thing is kept secret. We saw 3 court cases here. In every single one of those, the argument that no evidence whatsoever was needed to be presented to the court to extradite me.
Well, let me
All
just
hearings
let me
in Sweden
just
were secret. A gag order was attempted to be placed upon my Swedish attorney, and the requested conditions for my extradition to Sweden and arrival in Sweden was that I be held incommunicado. Something is very wrong with that situation, and something is wrong in the United States that such an investigation against me and in effect my organization, and indeed now we see serious calls against the New York Times as well, that all that is to be conducted in secret.
Let's move on to the personal situation with the charges being leveled against you in Sweden by these 2 women in separate incidents. They claim that you are guilty of rape and molestation and illegal coercion. This is going to boil down, or is this going to boil down to a very high stakes case of he said, she said? And if so, why are you confident that you'll be able to prevail?
It is an incredible allegation of rape, and in the beginning, double rape reported around the world. In fact, according to Google, if you look on the internet, my name is mentioned in 1/10 of the mentions of the word rape, all the way back to pages about Helen of Troy. So this has been a very successful smear campaign so far. But I think its days are numbered, and people are starting to wonder, is what is claimed really true? And if it is true, where's the evidence? Why has no evidence been provided, even to me and my defense attorneys?
You have declared your innocence in this case, and it raises a very obvious question. If you believe that you are innocent and you can prove that, why fight extradition to Sweden? Why not go back and answer the questions?
I stayed for nearly 40 days in Sweden. The matter was dropped entirely within 24 hours after the charge was made. Subsequently pushed by a politician to another prosecutor in Gothenburg, not the senior prosecutor in Stockholm. Raised again, spent time there to clear my name, received permission to leave the country for my work and did so. I came to the UK back and forth, registered my name with authorities here in case there was any issue. When there was an issue, we went in within 9 hours of being called. It is not the case that I or any other person should have to fly off to foreign states without the provision of any evidence whatsoever. That is simply not acceptable to me, and it should not be acceptable to any person.
Let me move on back to the subject of WikiLeaks and the documents you have released and the documents you promised to release. Now that you're free on bail, you do have access to the internet, Mr. Assange. Do you plan to accelerate your plans to release further documents?
Well, as we have seen, WikiLeaks is a robust organization. During my time in solitary confinement in the basement of a Victorian prison, we continued to release. Our media partners continued to write stories, and just today I see in The Guardian, our primary British media partner, India accused of systemic use of torture. Nearly 1,200 cases of torture in Kashmir. The important revelations from this material continue to come out. We are approximately 2,000 cables into 250,000.
So obviously much more to come. Julian Assange, Mr. Assange, I thank you for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
Obviously remains very defiant here.
No question about it, defiant to the charges in Sweden and determined to continue his work with WikiLeaks. Obviously some people consider him a hero,
right,
a journalist and a hero. Other people consider him a villain who's put the national security of this country in jeopardy. And it depends where you sit.
Exactly.
Your perspective on it.
Much to follow on this story, obviously.